Andrew, I have a comment or a question about the body count thing. I don't care how. I don't think it's. I think it's like crude to talk about that. I don't know why people these days like talk about that. I would never ask a guy that.
Because it's extremely important when it comes to dating.
I think,
and when you're doing partner selection.
When it's whether you've been with one person or 100 people, I think that's very private. I would never ask somebody that. If somebody talked about that, no matter what the number was, if they were like proud of it or whatever, I don't think I would talk to them because they're talking about it. I think it's private.
If a man had been prosecuted multiple times for domestic abuse, would you consider that to be something which was pertinent for you to know?
Yes.
How come? It doesn't mean that he's going to domestic. Hang on. It doesn't mean that he's going to domestically abuse you. Why do you feel like it's pertinent for you to know that information?
Because it's like informed consent. Like I need to know that that's a potential risk in my relationship.
Right. So because it's throwing out red flags for risk, right? Why would body count be any different than that?
Because are you talking about risk as far as STD? Because there could be
not just
safe
STDs,
sex
but there's all sorts of other risks which come with it. For instance, if two virgins get married, the chances that they'll stay married are really, really, really good. Really good. And when it comes to women who are highly promiscuous, who have more than 20 partners, the chances that they're going to stay with their significant other, really, really, really bad. So the thing is that as we look at the details here, we're using risk assessment models, right? We're trying to assess risk for the same reason that you would want to disclose to you if a man had been charged and is guilty of domestic abuse, even though that does not prove that he would abuse you. Why would that then be wrong for a man to want to know the body count of a woman to assess his own risk?
I just don't think I think it's like very lewd to talk about. I don't like it. I don't think it's...
Yeah, I think that talking about domestic abuse is pretty lewd too, but that would be something that you would want to know about, isn't it?
It would be, yeah, but it's just like that goes into things like, asking about maybe I don't know. It's just kind of like private. Some things are private. I think your body's private, and if you have an OnlyFans, that's pertinent, but I don't know.
Killer of Cereal donated $200. So if the guy is only 5 feet 11 inches and is only 100,000 air, and is an assistant to the CEO but not the CEO himself, he wouldn't butter your biscuit? What would you bring to the man's life?
Oh, man.
Your quick response,
My quick response would be, I can't say unless I'm able to infer connection there. I'm not sure. Not necessarily true. And what do I bring to a man's life? I would say low body count, decent looking, take care of myself, unproblematic, not a party girl, great personality, easy to get along with, great friends, and just a good old fashioned girl. No body count. Yeah, good girl.
Well, I'd like to get back to this convo. It was very interesting. I appreciated you bringing that up. So, as we kind of dive into this, I understand what you're saying, that having conversations which are uncomfortable are, uncomfortable. And I can understand why a woman would want to conceal this information because it's very uncomfortable to talk about this information. But I don't know how you could make a case that it wouldn't be pertinent for a man to be informed about the body count of the woman that he wants to date long term. Why would that not be pertinent information for him to know?
Well, I guess it would really depend on what the man's values are and what he considers pertinent information.
His values are he just wants to hump chicks who have a low body count. That's his only value, let's say.
Okay, well, a man like that...
Why would that preference in any way be bad in any way?
It's not bad. It's just I feel like these young, it's just something that younger people talk about. They just talk about it. They're like, oh, this is my body count. It's just new. People didn't do that when I was growing up. So
yeah, they did.
It's just
they did.
I don't remember that happening.
Yes, they did. Here's the thing. You're growing up around the same time that I was growing up. And the thing is that we talked about sex all the time.
Yeah.
We talked about which chicks were hoes. We talked about which chicks weren't hoes. You talked about which men were playboys. You talked about which men weren't playboys. This cope of, when I was younger, you're ancient, you lived 75 years ago, you lived 100 years ago, you lived during the Civil War era 200 years ago. It's all pure cope, right? You were growing up, at the latest in the 90s? You think we weren't talking about sex in the 90s?
I didn't say not talking about the sex.
Hang on. That is the most most ridiculous thing that I've ever
No,
heard.
I
All
didn't
we
say
talked
that.
about in the 90s was sex.
Yes, but I said, like, I don't remember the specific thing about, like, talking about, like, a body count, like that being a phrase.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
And
What
I
do
was
you
in a
think
relationship from 18
what does
to
hoe
30,
mean?
so-
What does hoe? She's a hoe. What does that mean?
Yeah,
Does
but
that
you're
mean
not
she has a
attaching-
really low body count, or?
Yeah, but you're not, it's just a different verbiage, I guess.
Yeah, but it's saying the same exact thing. You're saying that chick has slept with way more dudes than I'm comfortable with. You're saying the same exact thing, right?
Yeah, but you kind of just like know that about like people in the neighborhood or whatever. You don't like write it down on an application, like your number, like your last name, like your social security number. That's what I'm talking about. It's just kind of weird.
So your objection is that people are more precise with it? So they're like, instead of you just slandering me with a generalization, you want to actually know the details of it so that I can give a possible defense of myself? That seems to me to be absurd, right? That seems counterintuitive. That like the precision of it is the objection, not the fact that you did indeed used to talk about it all the time. And let's be real. You and your girlfriends in the 90s, you talked about the promiscuous girls on the block, and you
Yeah.
talked about the playboys who were around. Let's not kid ourselves.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Done.
it wasn't like, oh, did you hear John has slept with exactly 17 and a half people or something like that? Like, it was just weird.
No, it's just implied. So I mean, it's just like it's just for some reason for you going around the edges of the thing is more important than the thing itself. It's like, okay, so John has slept with a lot of chicks. We understand that,
Yeah.
right? Your
Yeah.
only objection is the precision with how many chicks he slept with. That seems totally counterintuitive to me. It seems like that
Yeah.
would be the information you would want to know
Okay.
more than the generalization.
Well,
right?
to me, it's kind of like saying, okay, John has slept with 17 and a half people. And that's like saying, like, okay, John has a big dick.
How do you sleep with a half a person? Like, I guess
don't know.
you could.
If they're
I'm
bisexual.
just saying it's weird for a number, but I'm just saying.
Are we at a magic show?
Okay. Saying like, that's the difference between saying John slept with a lot of people, or we know he's a hoe, and the exact number, versus like John has a big dick, and then like going into detail, like describing specific things about it. I guess that's my court, like,
But
you
then
know,
what
you
makes
could
a
just do one thing. You don't need to like go into
People have very specific
Minutia about it.
preferences. Well,
Yeah.
they have very specific preferences about the things that
Private
they
chat.
want. And in modernity, because there's such a small pool which fits the preferences of so many people, I think they just don't want to waste time. And so they're like, can we just get to the nitty gritty? And instead of us using kind of the generalizations and innuendo and the slander and this and that, they're just up front, right? They're just like, look, lady, how many dudes have you fucked, right? And what they want to know from that, the information that they want to know from that is, are you going to be a good partner for me, or are you not going to be a good partner for me? It just seems like a great way to just not beat around the bush and not bullshit, right?
Would you not agree that there are many other factors that play into what defines a good partner or not?
Absolutely. I would say that that the scope of what we're talking about here is so broad, and we're taking into account billions of people's individual preferences and this type of thing. But I'm going to caveat this with, there are general truths that seem to trend across the board for men and women when it comes to preferences. I'll give you a really basic one. Women tend to like men who are taller than them. In fact, let's just get a show of hands right here. How many women right here at this table prefer that their men are taller than them? All of them, right? Every single one of them, including you, right?
Yeah.
So now we have kind of these universals which go in too. Now, if you were to insert men into every seat that you're in right now, and I said, how many of you would prefer that your women had slept with less than 3 men? How many of them do you think would raise their hand?
Okay, yeah, I totally
Hang
see
on,
that.
hang on. Answer the question first,
All
and
of
then give me
them.
the qualifier.
All of them,
All of them.
100%.
All of them. All of them. So we
Yeah,
have some
I get
universals
that.
here, right? We have some universals.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So it's like, so I want to address the point specifically, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Oh, okay.
You said it was crude though to like.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
a
do
guy
you know
were
what
to
I
ask you
mean?
that on the first date, would that be?
Yeah, that's like, I wouldn't ask him to see his bank statement or like, I think there's
You'd
so
ask him
many.
his job.
I guess I would. That's normal conversation. But for me, what's more important is like political values, family values, like that. For me, like I was in a 2-year relationship. We broke up because we ended up like it was during a certain period of time recently.
So, but what would actually be wrong if this was a deal breaker for a guy and this would conceivably save him and you time? What would
If that's a deal breaker for him, then he should for sure proceed with the question, and then.
Now the question
what
is,
I mean?
though, would it be a deal breaker for you that he even asked it?
Well, that's what I was kind of trying to say is like even not asking, but people are just I've seen people like post like just like about their body count or talk about it, and in a not dating situation, like just in a public situation, and I just think that's kind of like I don't think I would be inclined to want to talk to somebody who thought that was like a neat topic to like talk about. It's kind of private.
I think I understand the social taboo nature of the thing that you're kind of appealing to here, but I think, I think that men, the more men I talk to, I get this kind of belief more reinforced. I think that if a woman, let's say she had a really high body count, if she sat down on her first date with a man and she said, look, I fucked a lot of things up in my life, including the fact that I slept with way more dudes than I should have, right? And I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm going to be a good wife for the man who I end up marrying. Mm-hmm. And I fucked this all up, okay? I think that men would have 20 times more respect for those women.
I agree.
Than the ones who go, none of your business, it's not your concern, and they beat around the edges and this and that. I think if they were just direct and said, look, I fucked it all up, but I'm ready to unfuck it all, I think most men would be like, all right.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I mean, I can't disagree with that statement. I think that's totally true. I think people can change a lot. I've certainly changed a lot from like 18 to now.
Thank you, Josh. Go ahead.
Okay.
Continue.
I got with my...
But do you know why? Do you know why men would respond better to that? Do you know why that is?
Yeah, because it's honesty and...
No, it's not because it's honesty.
Accountability?
It's because it's a sign of accountability.
Oh, there you go.
It's a sign of accountability. It's a sign of you saying, I can recognize when I make horrible mistakes and I can correct them so that those mistakes never happen again. And it's so rare for men, at least the ones that I've talked to actually run into women who take accountability for anything. And that, I think, is why you would earn this really key note of respect. You would actually earn respect with the honesty rather than I have to find out later and all this bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think it's something that you shouldn't talk about in a relationship. I just the like bluntness of it, I guess, right away is just kind of.
I think I know what you're saying. Like,
you know what I
when
mean?
you go on a date, like, I like can go on like countless dates, but like never it occurred to me like a guy would be like, oh yeah, by the way, what's your body count?
Yeah,
like, there's a
that's, like, I just
conversation
don't
where there's
remember
going to be
that.
like, what is your dating history or
Right,
like background look
right,
like? It's not going to be
right.
bluntly like,
Yeah.
how many people have you fucked?
Yeah,
So,
I don't like
Wow,
that.
really?
I just don't like.
So you never sat down on a date and asked, well, how much money do you make? What do you
I've
do
never
for a
asked
living?
that.
I feel like that goes in like with certain dates.
No,
like,
you might beat around the bush, but what you're asking is how much money do you make? When you ask, what is your career? What is your career trajectory? What are the things that what are your goals? What are your aspirations? You're asking the question of what is the monetary value that you are bringing to the table? Because that's within the line of your preference, and I think that that's fine. But then to say, well, to men, they can't also move towards their preference and be like, well, how many dudes have you fucked, right? Like, how many? Just be honest with it. Why is that such a taboo for women other than they want to avoid accountability?
I don't think it. For me personally, I also don't really. Money isn't a top value for me in my compatibility with the man, so I wouldn't ask those kind of.
Yeah, really? You're
yeah,
gonna date a
like,
homeless
let me
guy?
see your wallet. Like,
You gonna
let me
date
see
a
how
homeless
much you're
guy?
making.
Wouldn't date
You gonna date a homeless guy in a box who lives out of his car?
because of hygiene issues. Probably not, but I
No,
mean,
he has
you don't
great
have-
hygiene.
I'm
He
not
just
going
has
to be like
$0
Lauren over
and you're
here.
gonna have to support him forever.
Wealth and status are not on my top 5 priority list.
That's fair.
Really? So just so I get this clear, a homeless guy has really good hygiene. You'd be willing to take care of him forever?
No, I didn't say that. I said
No,
wealth.
you didn't say that. So wealth,
like
or the
extreme-
ability, the ability to take care of yourself, the ability to make money is on your priority list. It's kind of foolish, in fact, to say that it's not, right? Of course it is.
No, I mean like,
It's just not high.
$1 million. I don't have a number. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
So
what.
you'll date a guy who works at McDonald's?
I think McDonald's is poison, so I probably wouldn't for health reasons.
You don't
Not because of the money, right?
But yeah, I would date like a ranch hand or
$6.77
somebody that was in school.
an hour.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so
Wait.
$6.77
Wait,
an hour worker.
Do you want to get remarried?
I would like to get married, yeah. But I'm really low
Well,
maintenance.
not remarried, but you want to get married?
I would like to get married.
Wait, you're low maintenance?
Like my monthly income with 3 kids is like, or my monthly expenses are like $2,500.
Okay.
It's really
With
not.
Three kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we're really, my daught's work, like, I don't know. It's
Wait,
just
do you
not
get,
that important to
you
me.
get child support?
I
From,
don't get child support. I never took him to court until recently for some other reason related to my son not liking his girlfriend, but he doesn't pay child support.
I see.
And that was just last year, and it's been 8 years since we've been split up. It's really unfortunate that he doesn't. He's just not a great guy, and it's sad.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. I just, to kind of, I don't mean to belabor the point, but
I've just
do
never
think
been
that
after
if you
someone
have-
for money.
If you have tons of social responsibilities, in this case 3 children, that you have to look after, your maternal instinct is there to look after these children. I assume that you love and adore them and they are the priority of your life, right?
Yeah.
So if this is the case, then of course, why would you want to get together with a bum or with somebody who would
I didn't say I want
refuse to?
Get with the bum, but I don't need to be with the
Right.
CEO,
Well, but you're kind of playing to the 2 extremes, right? So there's a distinction here, though, that we don't need to look at the 2 extremes of you're a bum in the street or a CEO to note that you would still probably prefer a guy who made 6 figures a year. Of course you would. Why wouldn't
Well,
you?
my grandma used to always sound like my grandma. She used to always say you could fall in love with a rich man just as easily as you could fall in love with a poor man. But I don't necessarily find that true. Sometimes I feel like guys with money they have different priorities than me. They care about status, they care about cars, they care about buying me like expensive bags. I don't want that stuff. I really
What do you
don't
want?
like
You
it.
want them to care about you, right?
They want them to care about me. I would rather have like life experiences. I don't have anything fancy. I don't want anything fancy. I think it's a waste of money.
But you realize this creates a double entendre for men. The double entendre it creates is, I want a man to be focused on me, care about me, show that he loves and appreciates
Yeah.
me. But you know how men do that. How do they do that? They usually do it by saying, okay, well, I'm going to go accumulate an amount of money and wealth, and then I'm going to utilize those resources to take care of you. That's how they show that. How they don't show it is by going, oh, baby, you're the best. You're so gorgeous. You're the best in the world. And I can't wait to spend time watching this gay soap opera with you, right? They don't do it that way.
Yeah.
What they
I guess-
do instead is they focus on the accumulation of resources, and then them sharing those resources with you is how they show that they care a lot about you.
Right, but there's like douchey rich guys, and there's guys that have money that don't act in a douchebag way. So I think that,
Totally agree.
you know what I mean? So
totally agree that
I
that's
wouldn't want
true.
someone who's like flashy, I guess. Like I wouldn't.
You can lie too. There's a lot of facades
Right.
nowadays. Like
And-
people be like, "Oh, I'm not homeless. I make a lot of money," and then they pull up in a hoopty doopty,
Yeah.
and you're like,
There are some things I care about, but I don't think I would ever put an actual number on how much like I need my person to make when there are other
Yeah, but
priorities.
I don't think it's necessary for you to put an exact number to note that if they had all of the qualities and additional money on top of all the qualities.
Yeah, it would be nice. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt.
Right,
But
it
that, I'm
wouldn't
not
hurt,
looking
right?
it.
So
I'm
that-
not
I mean,
looking
that's
for
the
it. I'm
point.
not seeking it out.
I feel like you guys are kind of arguing the same point here. I think like the whole point in the body count conversation is to say, like if this man is asking what your body count is, it's not to be like vulgar. It's to see like, okay, if this woman has a high body count, she has some inconsistencies within her dating pattern. So maybe her and I are gonna have a short-lived relationship based on like these frequent people she's sleeping with. But I think it's the same way you would ask, like, how many partners have you had in the past? You would ask, like, oh, what do you do for work? Because these are, like, different value sets that people have, right?
But a man would also ask the woman, "What do you do for work?" So I think that's just
Yeah.
general conversation.
Right, yeah. So that would also be within, like,
Yeah,
that
but
general
wait, hang on.
conversation.
Yeah, I agree that could be general, general conversation, but that doesn't mean that they're asking each other the same question. Even if it's identically phrased, that doesn't mean they're actually asking each other the same question. They could mean very different things by what they're asking by that question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I guess it's also what your intention is when you're dating somebody. Are you dating to just hook up with somebody? Are you dating to have a short-lived romance? Are you dating to get married? I mean, these are all very different things. So some people, might be entitled to a little bit more information than other people regarding maybe even your job and your income too, Maybe you're just planning on taking this girl out on the boat for a weekend and then not ever talking to her again. So she doesn't really need to know that much about your life. But maybe you want like something more serious with her, so you would, strive to have more deeper conversations about
Well, actually, this is a great segue. So I assume that you would think that it was important if a man, his intention was to just sleep with you and then never talk to you again, that he let you know that that was the case.
That would be great. I don't think guys do that.
That would be fantastic, right? Because otherwise he would be wasting your time, right?
And I think girls should probably do the same thing, like, hey, I'm just here for a good time, or hey, I'm looking for something more serious. Is there something you want to ask me?
If you don't fit my preferences,
things you want to talk about?
Of body count, or if you don't fit my preferences of body count, you're wasting my time by not disclosing that information. I have to find it out
you
later.
guys both have to have the same
thing, right?
You have to both have the same preferences, the same intentions, and the same values. If not, it's not a good match. So you should both move on anyways. Yeah,
right. But to my point, right, if you think that it's pertinent for a man to say, listen, look, baby, my plan here is just to take you out on my yacht, and we're going to bang, and then I'm never going to call you again. Right? You would prefer that he was upfront with that. That makes total sense to me why you would prefer that, because you don't want your time wasted by some fuckboy, right? Okay, that's fair enough.
I think a lot of times... okay, go ahead.
But the flip side to this is, but the same thing's going to apply to a man who's like, look, I really want to know how many dudes you've slept with before I pursue this relationship, because otherwise it's a waste of time. Doesn't that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense if the intention for the relationship that they're pursuing with you is more value, like a marriage or engagement or long-term dating. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Okay.
But you both have to match on that, is all I'm
Maddie,
saying.
can you read these?
I feel like a guy asking for a body count on first date is a green flag to me, because that shows he's looking for more than a hookup. If he just wanted to F you, he wouldn't bother asking.
Yeah, I suppose if he didn't care, then...
That's fair.
If he wasn't interested in long term.
Not sure that follows.
Yeah.
It could just be that he doesn't want to sleep with a chick who slept with a lot of dudes, even if he has no intention of pursuing a relationship. Like that could also follow.
Yeah, it could be true. But I think a guy who just wants to sleep with a girl once is probably less preoccupied with her body count.
Yeah, I think that would be generally true. I would agree with that.
Yes. Go ahead, Maddie.